Okay.
Good evening. So one of the privileges and one of the honors of speaking at different Shabbos programs, retreats, Pesach programs, is you get to hear a number of different questions. It dawned on me that two of the most common sort of questions and issues that are often discussed at these events are the underpinnings of this week's Torah portion, Parshas Vayaeira. The one concept that I hear time and time again is, if only I could speak to the Almighty, if I could speak to the Creator of the world. And one of the questions that's also asked is, how is it that people who are so-called religious people do things that are perhaps not appropriate? How do we square those two? So, how do we see these two oft-asked questions in this week's parsha? So we see the Torah portion starting with Abraham, supposedly speaking to the Almighty Himself. The dream of so many people, the questions that we would ask God Almighty Himself. And then what happens? Supposedly 3 malachim, 3 Bedouins enter the tent. And what does Abraham do? He's speaking to the Almighty. Supposedly he puts the Almighty on hold, 1 sec, and runs to these Bedouins, these malachim, to be hospitable and discharge the mitzvah of Hachnasas Orchim, and gives them the very best. There's a profound lesson here, and I believe it touches on these two concepts. Number one, as incredible and as scintillating as it would possibly be to speak to the Almighty, supposedly there's something even more important than that, and that's being like the Almighty. While Abraham was speaking to God Almighty Himself, supposedly he asked God to hold on a second so that he can go show chesed, benevolence, the kind of trait, so to speak, that God personifies, a selfless love for each of us, the Jewish people. How does this connect to the second concept of, people say all the time, how come we see so-called religious people double parking, we're on an LL airplane, and the steward's saying please sit down, and people are taking their time. It doesn't seem to be. I think that dovetails with the same concept, because being like God seemingly is a lot more difficult than speaking to God. While it's beautiful to go through tractates of the Talmud, and at the end of the day there's nothing more profound than going through Shas. But I think what we learn from this story is that we're not here to go through Shas. The purpose of life is for Shas to go through us. Is not only to speak to God, but to be like God. So the next time you're in the supermarket, the next time you're in your carpool, no, you can speak to God. He's there, He can hear you. The question you need to ask yourself is, can you be like God? And that, my friends, is this week's instruction for living. Have a good Shabbos.